Hey, sup? Welcome to the first official devlog of Project Rain. Okay, so for this devlog, it's entirely going to be based on the basics of the combat system, and of course in the future I'll be adding stuff and improving stuff and the whole shebang. So yeah, I don't expect this to be a long devlog at all, just like kind of running over what I have so far. Okay, so let's talk about the basics of combat. Now, the first thing to notice, first and foremost, is that the combat is directionally based. So depending on what direction you're looking or facing or moving in, will determine the way your attacks work, basically. If you're familiar with the Devil May Cry series, you'll be very familiar with this. So what that really means is that depending on the directional input plus whatever attack input you're pressing will determine the outcome of the attack. Okay, so let's start with the normal attack string. Pressing the normal attack button by itself will play out a string of combos and animations. If you're not locked on, the player character still kind of rotates towards the closest enemy, and if you are locked on but not pressing any sort of directional input, you're just pressing the attack button input, it'll still play that same attack string animation. Oh, also keep in mind, a lot of these animations are either just broken or not finished entirely, because it's kind of a mix of marketplace animations that I've bought and a little bit of the animations that I kind of tweaked and worked on myself. Okay, so again, there's the melee input and then there's the directional melee input. And then on top of that, depending on the animation or move, you're able to also charge either input. And by charge, I mean holding down the input a little longer will cause the attack to come out stronger. Sometimes holding down the button and charging the attack will actually transition the attack into something else completely. So, for example, directional attacks, right? If I'm holding back while pressing the attack button and being locked on, I'll do an uppercut. But if I'm holding back and holding the attack button, it'll go from an uppercut to a skybound uppercut. And from there, the combo would instead become an air combo. And speaking of air combos, the air combat is essentially the same concept. While in the air, you can hit the melee button, or you can do directional plus the melee button to get a different outcome. The only difference is that I don't think I'm gonna allow there to be charged options for melee attacks in the air. Okay, so with the starting concept of basic combat out the way, let's talk about special attacks. So they pretty much just sound how they're gonna be, special. These are gonna be more powerful attacks that are typically gonna be accompanied by like a cutscene of some sort, or maybe like a cut-in, and they're gonna have special properties and do way more damage, but they're also gonna cost. As of right now, we have two meters that we have to worry about, the health meter, and the second one is going to be called the Rocky meter. In the story, the main source or form of energy for everything is called Rocky, which is why the meter is going to be a Rocky meter, and any special attacks or special abilities are going to consume a set amount of this meter. A lot of this stuff isn't even set up yet, so a lot of this is just the concept and the groundwork for those things to happen. So yeah, just like basic combat, special attacks take the special attack input, and then you can also switch it up by doing a direction plus a special attack input, which will change the attack entirely. And this also works in the air as well, same concept in the air. And special attacks can't really be charged up either, because the whole concept of it is that it's supposed to be way stronger than a normal attack, and it goes pretty much into a cutscene when you use it. Not implemented yet, but it's supposed to show like a little cutscene before you use it. So yeah, no charge up for that. Now, in terms of defense, there's blocking, a perfect guard, and a counter. Blocking is pretty self-explanatory, you're just blocking an attack. It doesn't negate the damage completely, it just cuts it down by a lot. In the future, I may add like some sort of guard stock or like guard meter, and the more you get hit, the more it depletes while you're blocking, and if it, empties out, you go into a guard break, which will essentially just stun the player or enemy or whatever that has the guard broken effect. Now, while normal guarding doesn't negate damage, perfect guard does. A perfect guard occurs whenever you hit the guard button at the right time within a small window of an enemy attacking you, and it'll play a different sound and animation and everything depicting that you perfectly guarded this attack. And during a perfect guard, you won't take any damage. Now, a counter is basically a directional perfect guard. If you do a directional forward input while guarding at the right time, making it a perfect guard, it'll go into a counter attack, which basically negates any damage that was headed towards you, and instead you do an attack animation and counter the opponent. It's not there to be the hardest thing ever to learn, but it is there to kind of give it a learning curve when it comes to combat, and just basically open up your options during combat a little more. So yeah, this was a little short, hopefully not too short, depending on how I edit this. But that's kind of like the groundwork foundation of the basics of combat right now and special attacks. Obviously in the future devlogs, there's gonna be more built on top of it. The story is gonna inform a lot of decisions I make for the game in terms of like combat and like special abilities, and obviously the main character and what abilities they have and stuff like that. So look forward to a video that may explain the power system of the story I'm making, and I'll probably make some videos explaining the characters, the future characters, and then implementing them into the game and implementing different places and environments. So I'm basically just saying I'm creating a story while creating the game at the same time. So expect story building content for this game as well. Because while I am making a game right now, I do want to end up making maybe a manga or like a webtoon or something like that kind of encompasses the story too, you know? The game is just one set time period in a universe that I want to build regarding to this story. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. See ya.